They called it the Forgotten Asylum, a building left to rot on the edge of town, its windows shattered, its doors chained shut, its name erased from every map. That night, 4 friends decided to go inside. They wanted a thrill, a story to tell. What they found was something that would never let them leave. The air was heavy the moment they stepped through the gate. The trees leaned closer as if listening, and the wind carried a faint, broken whisper, "Turn back." Inside the asylum, the silence pressed down like a weight. The hallways stretched endlessly, their paint peeling, their floors covered in dust and broken glass. Every step echoed like a scream. Anna, the bravest of them, lifted her flashlight. Its beam cut through the darkness, revealing words scratched into the wall. "Help us." No one spoke. No one wanted to admit they'd seen it. They kept walking, past empty patient rooms, where rusty bed frames sat like skeletons, past doors that hung crooked, as if something had forced them open. Then they heard it, a sound none of them expected, a child's giggle, echoing from the second floor. Mark whispered, "This place has been closed for 40 years. There can't be children here." But the giggle came again, closer. They climbed the stairs. Every step groaned under their weight. The smell grew stronger, a sour, metallic stench of blood and rot. At the end of the hall, a door stood half open. Light flickered inside, though the building had no electricity. Anna pushed the door slowly. Inside was a treatment room. Broken restraints hung from the walls. A chair sat in the center, its leather straps worn thin from struggle. And on the floor, a journal. Anna picked it up, her hands shaking. The first page read, "They said we were insane, but we were only afraid. The doctors were the real monsters." Suddenly, a loud crash. The door slammed shut behind them. The flashlight flickered. In its weak glow, the shadows in the room seemed to move on their own. From the far corner came a whisper, low, crooked, "Why did you come back?" The friends froze. There was no one there, only darkness. Then, in the mirror on the wall, they saw them, figures standing right behind them. Dozens of pale faces, eyes hollow, mouths twisted open in silent screams. But when they turned around, the room was empty. The journal fell from Anna's hand. It landed open on the last page. The words were scrawled in frantic handwriting. "Do not let them follow you out." A sudden shriek ripped through the building. The lights above burst, glass raining down on them. And then footsteps, dozens of them, running, stampeding down the halls, straight toward the room. The friends huddled together, hearts pounding, eyes wide. The footsteps stopped, just outside the door. Silence, and then, a single knock, slow, heavy, on the door. Mark whispered, "Don't open it," but Anna's hand was already reaching for the handle. The door creaked. It opened just an inch, and through the gap, a single blood-red eye stared back at them. The Midnight Library. It was almost midnight when Ethan locked his bicycle outside the old city library. Everyone in town knew this place was supposed to be closed for years, but the city council had quietly reopened it for archival research. Only a few staff members were allowed inside at night. Ethan wasn't really staff. He was just a broke university student who needed extra cash. The manager said all he had to do was sit at the reception desk from midnight until 6 and make sure no one got in. Easy money, right? The library smelled of old wood and dust, like history itself was rotting inside. Rows of shelves towered above him, filled with books no one had touched in decades. A massive grandfather clock stood in the corner, ticking louder than seemed possible. The first hour was boring. Ethan scrolled his phone, yawning, listening to the clock echo across the empty halls. But at exactly 1:13 a.m., something shifted. A book dropped from a shelf upstairs. He froze. No one else was supposed to be here. When he climbed the staircase to check, he saw a single book lying open on the floor. Its pages were filled not with text, but with handwritten names. Every page had hundreds of names neatly written, all crossed out with red ink except one. At the very bottom of the last page was his name, Ethan Carter, not crossed out. His chest tightened. He dropped the book instantly, backing away. That's when he heard it, the sound of whispering, not from a single voice, hundreds, overlapping, like every book on the shelves was speaking at once. He ran back down the stairs, but the reception desk wasn't empty anymore. Sitting in his chair was a woman in an old-fashioned librarian's uniform. Her face was pale, almost gray. Her smile was too wide, stretching unnaturally across her cheeks, and in her hand, she held the very same book. Late returns, she whispered, in a voice like dry paper tearing. You should know, Ethan. Overdue books cost more than just money. He bolted for the door, but the massive wooden doors wouldn't budge. The lock was gone, replaced by more shelves filled with books that hadn't been there before. The library was shifting around him. Corridors stretched into endless hallways. Staircases looped back into themselves. No matter where he ran, the whispers followed. One whisper grew louder than the rest. A single phrase, over and over. Read your story. Finally, Ethan found himself in front of a desk deep inside the library, a candle burning beside it. On the desk lay a brand new book, its leather cover still warm, the title etched in gold red. The Life and Death of Ethan Carter. His shaking hands opened it. The first chapter described his childhood in perfect detail. The second, his teenage years. The third, his arrival tonight at the library. And the next page was blank. But as he held it, words began to appear, slowly, letter by letter. Ethan looked at the page and realized this was the end of his story. The candle went out, and for the first time, the library fell silent. The next morning, when the day staff arrived, the building was empty. The desk was clean. The only thing they found was a half-written book lying open on the counter. The last page read, "Checked out permanently," and beneath it, his name was now crossed out in red ink.